Welcome to Between Two Coaches, a digital mentors podcast for coaches, consultants, authors, speakers, and experts. I am your host, Norbert Orlowitz, and in each episode, we have a conversation with successful and emerging thought leaders in the mentoring industry to share experiences, insights, and practical strategies so we can make a bigger impact with our work. This podcast is sponsored by our Digital Mentors Compass Workshop. Unfortunately, most coaches struggle to enroll enough clients consistently, not because they're bad at coaching, not because they lack clarity, but mostly because they lack clarity and simplicity in their branding and marketing. That's why we created the Digital Mentors Compass experience. It's a step-by-step workshop where you will clarify your marketing message and receive an AI-powered marketing report personalized for your specific business and goals. It's an interactive workshop where you will walk away with a personalized roadmap to finally achieve your goals with a simple plan you can actually follow. Register now to attend the next workshop for free at compassworkshop.com. Again, that is compassworkshop.com. All right, today we have a special guest, and I'm super excited for this conversation because I know it's going to be very relevant to many of you watching. Today's guest is Scott Aaron. Now, Scott is a LinkedIn coach and consultant. He's been on the platform for 13 years. He is the founder of the Expert Authority Mastermind, creator of LinkedIn Leads Generation, a best-selling author, and a top podcast host. With decades of work in leadership, sales training, lead generation, and marketing, Scott has navigated the incredible highs and lows of business and entrepreneurship, and he's leveraged LinkedIn to rebuild himself and his business. And he's now super passionate about sharing the incredible power of this platform to grow your connection, community, and your impact. With that, Scott, it is a pleasure to have you here for this conversation.
Norbert, grateful and honored to be here and looking forward to our discussion.
Yeah, we got a lot to cover, a lot of
We
great
do.
details. Let's start with the mistakes. I feel like so many entrepreneurs, especially coaches, authors, and experts, they kind of have maybe they just approach LinkedIn maybe in the incorrect way. It is a very unique platform, and it's been changing over the last few years as well. But it is a very unique platform compared to other social platforms out there. You being on the platform for 13 years, you've seen it all. What do you say are some of the big mistakes that most people make when they approach the platform for their marketing?
So we could probably do a whole episode on this, but we won't. I would say the first thing is kind of you alluded to. People are treating LinkedIn like TikTok, like Instagram, Meta, YouTube. It's not meant for pointing and dancing. It's not meant for selling and pitching. It's not meant for a lot of the personal glam type posts that you see on other platforms. LinkedIn is for thought leadership, storytelling around business, and problem solving that people may be having. That's how you highlight it. I would say another mistake that people make is they're treating it like a quick win type platform. They think if they just start on the platform and they just start cold messaging people and producing content that the sky's going to open up and drop clients into their lap. LinkedIn is a slow burn. It's about the compounded effect. So I always tell people, when you fully commit to using LinkedIn, I'm not talking about half committing, 75% committing, sort of committing. If you're going to say, you know what, I am going all in on LinkedIn, you have to give yourself a full year of consistent use to actually see anything. So if you don't have the patience to build a streamlined and systematized business, especially if you're a coach, a consultant, you should not go on LinkedIn. But on the other side of that, if you're willing to give it the time and the attention that it requires, you'll wildly succeed. I literally just got off of a coaching call about an hour ago with one of my current clients in a very, very niche industry. And just in the last 2 weeks, he's closed two $50,000 clients. And that's, again, one was someone that he directly reached out to through my strategy on LinkedIn. And that person that he closed referred someone else. So that's one client led to $100,000 in business sales, just like that. I would say another mistake that people make is they're taking the wrong advice from the wrong people. So if you look at the user agreement of LinkedIn, there is a whole section that lists all the do nots on LinkedIn. And I would say the two most glaring do nots that people do not abide by is, number one, they're using automated software that either scrapes data or connects and messages it for them. So you cannot attach any sort of third party approved software to your profile. You can't. A CRM, anything that is attached to the back end of your profile that is quote unquote scraping data, you risk at getting your account completely deleted. Now, just recently in the last 60 days, LinkedIn blackballed two different CRMs from the platform. One, Seamless.io and Apollo.ai, both were kicked off of LinkedIn completely, and the users of their software. So it's not worth the risk. But there are a lot of people out there that think if they take a shortcut by using some sort of software that streamlines the process. Oh, it sends the connection, sends the messages, sends follow-up messages, sends connection requests with notes attached to it. That is also a one-way ticket to getting your account banned. And I'm not talking about restricted. I'm talking about banned for life. LinkedIn is not playing around anymore. They do not want these pitch slappers on the platform. They want people genuinely using it. So if you currently are using any sort of software that is attached to your profile, that is scraping data or is connecting and messaging for you, stop it today. And I would say the final thing is outsourcing your LinkedIn profile to others. If you are having a VA or an assistant log into your account with your credentials, acting as you, basically connecting with people for you, messaging people for you, interacting as you, you are also running the risk of getting your account banned because they track IP addresses, they track IP address blockers. So every user of LinkedIn thinks they're smarter than the platform. They're like, oh, I'm just going to get an IP address blocker, so they're not going to know. People fail to remember LinkedIn is owned by Microsoft. They create IP address blockers. So they have a whole firewall behind everything where they can see every single thing that every single person is doing. There's another laundry, like engagement pods. People make the mistake where they think if they agree to coordinate to try to beat the LinkedIn algorithm, which there's not one, there's actually 14. And an acquaintance of mine, Chris Penn, studies algorithms. He just released a LinkedIn mid-year report. They've added 2 new algorithms. There were 12 as of January. There's now 14. So there is no getting in front of the LinkedIn algorithm. It's always 18,000 steps ahead. But if you're in an engagement pod, which means you're agreeing to participate in a group of individuals where you're all going to like and comment on each other's stuff at the same time on certain days, you're also running the risk, because LinkedIn does not support them. They are slowly disbanding them, and they're also devaluing those people's commentary and content where they can tell that someone is an engagement pod. And you can tell from a million miles away when someone that is an average business person, I'm not talking about like a Gary V, right? If you could see like a normal everyday person that has a very mediocre sized network that is getting hundreds of likes, hundreds of comments on every single post that they put out there, that smells like a red flag to me.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to see fluctuation in your content. You're going to see some content that wins, some doesn't, some hits, some don't. That's the normal fluctuation of real organic content. So those are just some of the things that I would be very mindful and very aware of not to do on the platform.
All right. Well, now you've got me a little frustrated because as a CEO, I got a lot of things to do and I want to grow my LinkedIn following, but I don't want to sit there every single day adding connections and finding people to connect with. So I was going to have my VA do that. Or how can we get around that as busy business owners, as CEOs? Like, what are we supposed to do? Can we not outsource any of that activity on LinkedIn? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they don't want you to. So what, Nancy and I, we run 3 companies together. So I totally understand about having a lot of things to do. I work with very, very high profile financial firms. I work with high profile multi 7 and 8 figure business owners that, when I tell them this, they're like, okay, this is something that I will preface saying, You do not need to spend hours a day on LinkedIn to see it work. If you were to block out 20 minutes a day, that's it. You have every single person has the same 24 hours in a day. We all make time for what is most important to us. For me personally and my business and our companies, growing my LinkedIn network with ideal potential clients that I can take through my pipeline, creating content that really drives home the industry expert that I am, engaging with people that are taking the time to engage with me, it's worth it. Those are income producing activities, right? That is not wasting time. And I block out 20 minutes every day. It's on my calendar. It's a reoccurring, repeating event Monday through Friday that no one can book calls during that time. And it just says LinkedIn time. And I go on the same time of every day. I send out my targeted connections. I send a few touch base messages. I pre-schedule my content because LinkedIn has a scheduling tool. So I don't have to worry about my content. It's already pre-scheduled for the week. So all I really have to do is send my batch of connections, send a couple messages out to some of my new connections from the day prior, and then engage with people that engage with me as my content gets produced. So it doesn't take a ton of time. You just have to make the time for it.
Nice. All right. I want to touch a little bit on your story. You've got so much to say on LinkedIn. I don't want to spend too much time here, but you do have a pretty incredible story, and I think it's important for people to hear a little bit of your background. You know, the resilience that you've had to overcome some of the challenges. I mean, every entrepreneur's got their story, so just share with us a little bit about your ups and downs, your entrepreneurial journey. 13 years on LinkedIn, but it hasn't all been sunshine and roses, has it?
No. So long story short, I got into entrepreneurship when I was 18. So 1998, 1999. I was involved in the fitness industry for 18 years from 1998 to 2016. I got into the fitness industry through the need to help out my family. I come from a long line of entrepreneurs. My father, prior to purchasing our first gym, was involved in a company that was doing bad business. He got involved in an insurance fraud case that landed him in federal prison for 2.5 years. And in the 6 months from pleading guilty to then getting sentenced, he then bought this failing gym with the help of my two grandfathers at the time and spent every single day from morning till night, open to close, to grow it as much as he could so that the family would have something as far as income coming in to support myself, my mother, and my sister. So my father goes away, and we're dropping him off to federal prison, and he turns to me and he said, "Listen, you're going to have to step up. This gym is now yours. I'm turning the keys to you, and you're going to need to be the face of this." And I was a sophomore in college. I had never run a company. I didn't know anything about anything that involved business, but I had to be resilient. I had to play the hand that was dealt to me with those cards that I was looking at. And I fell in love with the industry. I fell in love with owning a business. I fell in love with people. And that's where I spent a great deal of my time from 1998 up until about 2013. My son was he was 1. He's going to be 13 in September. But this is when things kind of really shifted for me. We were on our third gym at this time. And I was a very successful personal trainer, sports nutritionist. I was doing corporate wellness speaking, really putting myself out there. But a friend of mine asked me a question. He said, if you get sick or injured, how are you going to earn a living? You know, your body, you are your asset. So if
Mhm.
you physically can't train people, how are you going to make money? And, you know, the gym was doing okay, wasn't doing great, wasn't paying me anything. That's a whole other story. But when I was asked that question, I was staring at my business mortality right in the face. And I never done that before. I always thought I'm going to go down the same path as my dad. I'm going to be a trainer for the rest of my life. This is what I'm going to do. But I was thinking they're right. Like I am working harder, not smarter. I am trading time for dollars. Like if I get hurt, if I get sick, I am done. And now I was a provider for my loved ones, and I needed to think about someone other than me. So I started to think about, all right, what can I do in the online space? I started a LinkedIn account back in 2009, more for my gym and my personal training. But I was like, you know what? Why don't I leverage this for the online space? Because I had so many people that used to ask me, hey, I've moved away. I wish I could still work with you. Or I live in California. Wish I can work with you. So I was thinking, I was looking at my business demographics. All the clients that I saw in person were business professionals. They
Mhm.
were business professionals driving into Philadelphia on their way to work, driving back from Philadelphia on their way back from work, or on their lunch break in the local area. And I said, well, that's the writing on the wall right now. If all these people are business professionals in the local area that are willing to see me in person, there's got to be a slew of those people in the online space that I could provide nutritional guidance, workout plans, accountability. And that's when the light bulb went off, where I'm like, let me go onto LinkedIn, let me kind of poke around. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I changed my profile around. I updated everything on my profile to reveal more of like an online based business, online wellness consulting,
Mhm.
online personal training, online nutrition coaching. And then I started connecting with business professionals. I would literally just search business professional and I would start connecting with them. And this is back when it was more of the Wild Wild West on LinkedIn, where there were less spammers on the platform. There's
Yeah.
more now than ever.
Yeah.
But I was booking anywhere between 15 to 20 calls a week. And within, I would say, 8 months, that was towards the beginning of 2013. By Q3 of 2013, my online business was matching what I was making in person in just 8 months. That it took me at that time 15 years to build up the in-person business. So that was kind of like the big aha moment for me, where like, well, I don't have to do this in person anymore. I can just do this online, right? And I can do it from my home. I can do it from wherever. So then I reached out to a couple of buddies of mine that were in various sales, coaching, and consulting professions outside of just health and wellness. And I said, I'm really having some good success on LinkedIn, getting new clients. And I know that you coach and you consult, you're in sales. I think this could work for you too. So I got on a Zoom with some of my friends and I'm like, here's what I'm doing. Go do it. Let me know what happens. And all of them got traction, but one in particular shot me a text message and said, dude, call me. So I called him and I said, what's up? And he goes, listen, he goes, I don't know what you figured out, but he goes, I have 14 appointments booked this week. I've never had that many people book a call with me in 1 week. He goes, you should be teaching this. I said, what do you mean I should be teaching this? He goes, you're doing good. He goes, I could see the potential of this. You could help other coaches and consultants just apply your strategy to their business and you can
Mhm.
show them how.
Yeah.
And it still wasn't clicking for me. I'm like, I'm like, where are you going with this? And he said, listen, you've spent the last 15 years helping people create and have healthy bodies. Now you can help people create and have healthy businesses. And that is when everything connected for me. So at that point, I said, okay, let me go all in on this. I ended up going on a podcast and I'm really dating myself here, when 1-800-conferencecall.com was the most appropriate way to actually do podcasts. Um, so it was with my business coach at the time. So he brought me on to do a live call and a live training on what I had been discovering on LinkedIn. And by the time I got off of that call, I had 8 inboxes from coaches and consultants that I was friends with on Facebook. And every message said the same thing. What do you charge? How can I work with you? What do you charge? And I'm like, oh my God, people are going to pay me
Oh yeah.
to teach them how to do this. And that was 13 years ago, and 5 books later and 3 businesses and growing. I'm still doing it today.
All right. So let's talk about your process, because you've got a patented 4-layer system that you teach and you talk about. And let's talk about this, because something you mentioned is that there's so many spammers on LinkedIn now.
Yeah.
And so this whole idea, and I see coaches do this all the time, right? They get their certification, they get out of, the whatever it is, and they come onto LinkedIn, and all they're doing is they're trying to connect with people, random people. They don't even like focus on an ideal client profile necessarily. And then it's book a call with me. Hey, let's hop on a call. Hey, let's hop on a call. I don't know who you are. I mean, I still get those pitches from
I do
brand
too.
new people I just met. I don't know who they are. I haven't even visited their website, and they're like, hey, book a call with me. Let's see if we can collaborate. Let's see if there's some synergy. And for me, as a busy professional, I'm like, I don't have time to just hop on the phone with strangers. I don't know if that's just me, but I think that's pretty much everybody. So how do we need to approach LinkedIn here? Because we can't just go on there and spam random people and tell them to book a call with us. What's the
Yeah,
strategy?
what you just described is something called the spray and pray methodology,
Right.
right? I'm just going to connect with as many people as I can that have a pulse, and hopefully someone will agree to a call. What I've learned in now my 25 years in sales, client acquisition, going back to selling gym memberships and training packages, I still have almost, like, I would say at this point, 80-90% closing rate. If you're getting on the phone with me, you're getting on the phone with me for a reason to work with me. And I like to use this example. I almost had 100% sign up ratio, closing rate at the gym. And people would ask me, how do you sign up so many people for your gym? And it's because every tour that I gave was different. If you were to walk into the gym, I would say, thanks for coming in. What has you specifically looking at this gym to potentially sign up?
Yeah, the power of the questions, hey?
So that question would dictate where I'm starting the tour.
Yes.
So if you would say, I want to get back into strength training, I want to kind of get into weightlifting, this, that, or the other. Well, guess where I would start the tour? I would go right to where all the strength training equipment is. Then everything after that was all bonuses to them. Well, don't forget, you also have the cardio deck, and you have the saunas, and you have the juice bar, and the class schedule, and a chiropractor. So now you're just adding on bonus after bonus after bonus. So then when we get back to the front counter, what other questions did you have? And would you like to sign up? And you're like, nope, answer all my questions. What's our next step? So the same thing goes whenever you're doing something on LinkedIn. When you're looking to really optimize your entire strategy on LinkedIn, you mentioned the 4 layers. I call it the layer cake of LinkedIn. So each layer kind of connects to the next. And if there's some sort of disparity or disconnect between one layer, that cake is going to topple over.
Mhm.
So it really starts at the base with your LinkedIn profile. And what people do not recognize is that each one of our LinkedIn profiles has an SEO score. And that SEO score dictates 2 things: how well our potential ideal clients will find us in a search that they're doing, and how well our LinkedIn profile will show up on external search engines like Google, Yahoo, and Bing. And if you Google yourself and your LinkedIn profile is not the top search result, if it's the second, third, or fourth, it's not optimized. It should come up before your website. The
I'm,
second thing,
I'm going to be doing that right now after the podcast. Yeah.
the other thing that people need to remember is people, when they're building out their LinkedIn profiles, they're doing it from their perspective.
Yes.
They're not thinking about what they want their ideal client to see. So if the background banner of your LinkedIn profile is probably one of the most important components of your LinkedIn profile, because I give this example to people. Whenever you fly into a different city or a different state and you go get your bags from the carousel, you call your Uber, you get in the Uber, you start leaving the airport, you get on, every airport has a major highway that you have to get onto. The first thing that you see are billboards. That's the first thing that you see. So the first thing that people see when they populate onto your LinkedIn profile is your billboard, which is your background banner. And if anyone was to visit my LinkedIn profile, you would see it says the sales and marketing, the LinkedIn sales and marketing system for coaches and consultants. So if any coach or any consultant goes to my profile, they know what I teach is the sales and marketing system for LinkedIn. So if they're struggling with sales, if they're struggling with their marketing on LinkedIn, they're going to start paying attention to what I'm doing. They may follow me. They may send me a connection request. They may start engaging in my content. And that is how I build everything out for myself, but also the clients that I work with. You have to be thinking about, what are the keywords that I need to have listed on my profile, in my headline section, in my summary or about section, in the titles of my experiences, that when someone is to punch in those specific keywords, guess what? My profile is going to populate. Just like you want to be on that first search result page on Google, you want to be on this first result page on a LinkedIn search result. And this is how you can get that done. And I'll say the second most important piece to a LinkedIn profile, outside of having the right SEO keywords fluttered throughout, is really taking advantage of the LinkedIn recommendations. This is where your credibility is developed and born. So anyone, again, that goes to my profile and scrolls towards the bottom, it's below your skills. I have 525 written recommendations that I've accumulated over the years. And I've worked with thousands and thousands of people and companies. And not when I ask, not everyone writes them because they're maybe not that active, or people get asked all the time. But I've had almost 550 people agree to write me a testimonial sharing how much they enjoyed working with me and what I taught. And I give in order to receive, right? So if someone writes one for me, I've written almost 200 recommendations as well for my clients. If they ask me, I'm going to write one. So you want to look for that credibility. So for anyone that's listening or watching that, maybe you're falling short on that, start asking some of the people that you're currently working with, or you have worked with, or you've worked for, or you've collaborated in some way, shape, or form. If they can speak to your credibility, your expertise, and what you're known for, it's only going to help people and that buying decision, make it easier and shorten that learning curve and shorten that buying curve as well. The other thing I'll say is that when you want the words of others speaking to your credibility, so you don't have to. Like, I know how I help people. I know the results I get for people if they apply what I teach. I don't have to convince people anymore. I am very clear and very specific about who I want to work with, and I encourage everyone else to adopt that same thing. But here's the other thing. If someone is starting to visit your profile and the last recommendation they see is from 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, it's going to send a bad message. It's going to send the message that maybe you're not doing that anymore, or B, you haven't worked with someone in years. So I'm going to work with someone that is still currently doing that. So when someone goes to my LinkedIn profile, I think I had someone write one the other day at the time that we're recording this. It's in June. So people will see the current month, I had a client write me a recommendation. So it shows that I'm still doing everything that I'm doing. Now, when you start to optimize your LinkedIn profile, you have to start thinking about, who do I want to see my profile?
Mm-hmm.
And this is where the growing of your connections and that strategy comes into play. And just so people know, we're only allowed to send 100 connection requests a week. That's it. That's the limit. Now you can go over that, but you run the risk of LinkedIn dinging your account. So if you end up going over 100, they will ding you and they will restrict you from sending connection requests for 24 hours. If you do it a second time, they'll restrict you for a week. You do it a third time, they'll restrict you for a month. And if you do it a fourth and final time, you get a lifetime restriction of never being able to send outbound connections ever again. You can only receive. So do not go over 100. Back in the day, you could send 10,000 connections in a week, but so many people were complaining to LinkedIn about all these connection requests that they're getting from these spammers that they had to put a cap on it. So make sure that you are connecting every day, Monday through Friday, but you're not connecting with more than 20 people a day, because that will take you over that 100 connection limit. Now, who should you be connecting with? Well, I always tell people there's two buckets of connections. There's ideal client connections, and there are collaborator and empowered partner connections. So you need to be searching and connecting with people from an industry, profession, or job title standpoint that if you sent them the connection, they would see relatability between you and them, and they would accept the connection. They would see your profile, see your content, and then you can kind of take them through that nurturing process to potentially get them on a call, or just engage with them on the platform to one day close them as a client. Equally, if not more important, are collaborators. I call them power partners or business allies. These are people that, like a podcast host like myself, would connect with other podcasters so we can do podcast interview swaps. I would connect with maybe other coaches or consultants that focus on something that they don't, that I do,
Yeah.
where I can do a guest training in their community. It could be another sort of collaborator where we can play referral partners. I love using this example. Like estate attorneys and divorce attorneys are perfect power partners. I've been divorced, so I understand that. But when someone is going through a divorce, sometimes there's an estate that needs to be broken up, and vice versa. Sometimes there's an estate being broken up and there's a divorce that's taking place, so they can refer business back and forth. So really think about who your best referral partners are, because they will shout the praises of your name all day long and they will refer business to you. And no lie, I get at least one business referral every single week for clients. And so it's at the point now where the scale has tipped, where I have a wait list. I only work with a couple of clients every quarter. And it's because of all the work that I've done for the last 13 years with all the people that I've helped get success. And just like I shared before, that client that has closed two $50,000 deals, you don't think he's going to refer people to me now? That he told me like what he's done in these two sales basically covers his entire entire year of expenses. Like he's done, like he's good. And it's only June.
Nice.
And he just started this process 2 months ago with me. So above that, now that you're connecting with the right people, you're getting people to accept. The third layer is actually messaging people the right way. So I talk about something called the smell test. If you're crafting a message and you're reading it back and it stinks, don't send it. It's the easiest rule of thumb I could suggest to someone. I would say above that, think about how you would want someone to message you. If someone is going to send you an 18 paragraph long drunkalog verbal vomit message trying to sell and pitch you something, are you going to respond to it? Absolutely not. So why would you send that to someone else? The idea of LinkedIn is to do your best to build as much know, like, and trust as possible. So even though you're looking to create sales, the sales come when the trust is formed. So your number one goal when messaging and connecting with people in your ideal audience is to book 3 to 5 discovery calls. And I call this a discovery call because you want to be picky and choosy about who you work with. Every person that you connect with, every person that you talk to may not be the right fit. And the only way to find out is to talk to them. So when I'm messaging someone on LinkedIn, I am very clear with my intention. So I would say, hey, Norbert, thank you so much for accepting my connection. I see that we have a business commonality in XYZ industry, or we're both coaches, we're both consultants. If you had the time, I would love to hop on a Zoom to hear more about your coaching, share more about mine, and how we can support each other here on LinkedIn. Is there a day and time that works for you this or next week? And it's very, very soft in the sense that you're not being pushy, you're not being salesy. You're literally just letting the person know, hey, I'm here, you're there. We have a little bit of overlap, but maybe not. Let's talk about it. Let's see how we can support each other. And Norbert, I can't tell you how often people are surprised that that message actually works, because it's so different from some of the other junk that people are getting. It's almost like a breath of fresh air, because when people read and repeat that word support in their head, it actually triggers their brain to release a chemical called oxytocin. It's our feel-good brain chemical. So the person feels good about getting on the call with this person. But as the person who's sending it, if your intention is to 100% just to get to know the person, you're going to win every single time. Because at the end of the day, they may be ready for what you're doing, so they may want to hear about how you can help them. Or worst case scenario, they may say, you know what? I have some people that may, could utilize your services and your coaching. Let me do some intros, and vice versa. So you're either going to potentially get a client from it, or you're going to get a power partner and a referral business ally, which again is a win in my book, because that also shortens the gap quicker for a lot of people, because people hire people they're referred to. So when someone refers a client to me and I get on that call with them, they're ready to pay me. Like I don't have they're like, hey, someone that you're working with, a friend of mine said you're getting great results on LinkedIn. They told me all about you, and I want to learn how I can work with you too. I'm like, okay, here's how I work. Here's my card. Like that's really how easy it is. So optimizing your profile, connecting with the right people that are A, potential ideal clients, or B, referral partners, and then also reaching out to people with the intention of just getting to know them and seeing where it goes. Now, the fourth and final layer, which I would say is the most not crucial, but most complicated, but also most rewarding is the content that you need to create. As I mentioned very early in the episode, you do not want to treat your LinkedIn content like TikToks or Reels or YouTube videos. It's LinkedIn is in a category of its own. So I teach something called the bookend posting methodology, where you commit to 3 posts per week and you choose any 3 days. It could be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Now, why I call it the bookend is because the first day that you post should be something in the way of a video format. It could be a short form vertical video. It could be up to a 10-minute horizontal video that you recorded on Zoom. And it's meant to educate and inform your audience in a longer form version where they can see you, they can hear you, they can feel you. Video is one of the most captivating ways to build know, like, and trust. So if you could commit to just doing one either short form vertical video or horizontal longer video per week, you're good as gold. In the middle of the bookend is your market research. You don't know what your ideal clients are struggling with or what they need help with unless you ask. So LinkedIn has its own functionality where you can conduct poll questions. So every single week, I conduct a market research poll, and it's always correlated and directed towards coaches and consultants that may be struggling in one area or another related to LinkedIn. It could be a simple yes or no question like, have you fully optimized your LinkedIn profile? Yes, no, other comment below. What area of LinkedIn do you think you need to improve the most? Connecting, messaging, content, other comment below. And what that's going to do for me, it's going to give me the necessary data that I can look at. So if I do that yes or no question, where I said, have you fully optimized your LinkedIn profile? And they say, most people say no. Well, guess what? On Friday, I'm going to do a longer form, either long text post or newsletter edition, which I highly recommend. But if you haven't started one, a text post, you can do up to 3,000 characters, diving into deeper context about what people can do to better optimize their LinkedIn profile. So I'll give a couple tangible tips, a little takeaway. What did you resonate most with? Comment below. So I use the market research to further my content. So I don't have to think about what I need to post. My network is telling me what they want me to post. But this is kind of the hardest thing for people to understand, because you're creating content just like your profile, not for yourself. You're creating it for your ideal clients. It is your job to solve as many people's problems as possible without asking for anything in return. The money shows up when the impact is felt. And your content is one of the biggest drivers of impact. So that could be the biggest driver for your income.
Love it. That was a little masterclass right there in those 4 layers. So I would recommend you put that on replay and you take some action steps here from what Scott just shared with us, because he's given you the outline, he's given you the playbook right there, and you've got some free resources and training. Obviously, people can connect with you on LinkedIn, and you've got a
Yep.
free lead magnet, I think, that walks through those 4 layers, don't you?
I do have a lead magnet on my LinkedIn profile. It actually helps with the optimization of
Perfect.
your profile. And then we also have a free workshop coming up at in the end of July, from the 28th to the 30th. It's called Clients on Command. How to create LinkedIn content that creates clients. And that would be a great way for people to learn our strategy, because we are teaching video content, text posts, polls, newsletters. So we're going over the construct of how this content can create clients on demand.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit more, because you're in this position where you've got a waiting list for clients. You can only work with high quality, high paying handful of clients, but obviously you have a passion to make a bigger impact and reach more people. So you guys have a really cool initiative that you're just launching right now to help more people in this area. So can you tell us a little bit about that community and the workshop and how the two relate?
Yeah, so the community is called the Expert Content Society. So this is kind of a combination of my skill set of creating high quality content, but utilizing the power of AI with my wife's expertise in creating GPTs through ChatGPT. And for those that don't know what a GPT is, it's basically a custom prompt that someone has to create that obviously prompted the right way, the questions are answered the right way, creates something from it. And in our case, we have built out a community. When you're a member, you get access to a monthly content calendar that has 24 different customized prompts per month. So it's broken down per week. So you get 6 prompts per week for an entire month for your content on social media. So this could be directly for LinkedIn. You can use this for Facebook company pages or personal. This could be used for whatever you're posting your content on. And we give different formats. So we have text only posts, we have quote tiles, we have carousel posts, newsletters, video outlines, and poll questions. So it's all themed out. So in the sense of 1 month, it could be establishing your personal brand, right? Or establishing your expertise. All of your content is positioned around showcasing your expertise to your ideal client network, wherever they may be. And all you have to do is go into the content calendar. You click on the type of post that you want to create. So it'll say week 1, text post. Here's your theme. You click on it and it's going to say AI prompt, click here. You click on it, it logs you right into your chat GPT. And then you'll see something that says, you're about to create a text post for your social media. Click get started. You click get started and the prompt kicks in. It'll say, hey, tell me about what you do and who's this for. And then it's going to ask you a set of 3 or 4 questions, including hashtags and they'll, there's always a suggest button if you're not sure what hashtags to use based on your content. And by the end, it crafts a beautiful post that you can then just shuttle onto whatever platform that you're using, whether it's LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, wherever. And now you don't have to think about what you need to post because it's themed out for you. You just have to use the prompts. You can even use the dictate key within ChatGPT now. So you can just talk to text basically. Yeah. So the more information you give it, the more information you get out of it. And now you can schedule your content weeks ahead of time so you can get ahead of that. So what we're doing is we're doing a free 3-day workshop to go over the construct of how we create our content, not just using our community GPT prompts, but just in general, what you need to think about. And it's called Clients on Command. And over the 3-day workshop, we're going to be teaching the construct of how you should be thinking about the content you need to create, highest performing types of content, how to create it, and then eventually, if it kind of hits the nail on the head for you and you see value in being a part of our community, there's going to be an invitation to join that as well.
Love it. Awesome. That's going to be a powerful project. And I know you guys already have over 100 founding members that came in the first little
about 144 people so far in there, and they're loving it. They're giving us a lot of great feedback. They're showing us their analytics each week so we can see we're creating a Hall of Fame prompt area. So the prompts that are basically producing the best results, there's going to be a Hall of Fame. There's going to be a library where people can go into any single month that they missed or want to go back to and use again. And we actually have a roadmap that's 10 months out so people can see where and what to expect each month going forward.
Fantastic. All right. Well, we will leave the links for all of that. So make sure you connect with Scott. Obviously, connect with him on LinkedIn. We'll leave his LinkedIn profile link for you guys there as well. Website link, lead magnet, and obviously for this workshop as well. If you're watching this podcast before, what is it, July 28th is the first day?
July 20th, Monday, July 28th to Wednesday, July 30th.
Okay, awesome. So if you're watching this podcast before then, get on that workshop. Otherwise, connect with Scott and see about how you can get into that community. But this is fantastic. Honestly, this was like a masterclass on LinkedIn. So super, super valuable. This is just a taste of what you're going to get from the workshop, obviously, and from the community as well. So really great conversation. Why don't you just kind of wrap it up? And you know what? I'm going to ask you this question because you've been a coach now in multiple industries. You've worked with so many different clients. Let's get a little bit raw. What do you think is the hardest part about being a coach that we don't talk about very often as coaches?
I think for me, the hardest thing about being a coach is walking that fine line of not trying to under promise and over deliver or the vice versa. Because for me, I know how things work, but I think what I've had to let go of over the years, and this is something that's taken a lot of time, is detaching from what I expect my clients to do, because they can pay, and people pay a lot of money to work with me. And no matter how much more I continue to elevate my prices, I will still have clients that will do the do, just like the example of the client that's closed two $50,000 clients. I had another one just close a $15,000 client. I just had another one close a $6,000 per month retainer client for a full year. So that's like a $70,000 contract. But then I have a handful of people that just don't do anything. They pay me the money. I show them what they need to do in the value, and they take no action. Now, the younger version of me would beat myself up over that. What could I have done better? What could I have done to make sure that they did everything that they told me they were going to do? And what I've realized, especially in coaching and consulting, is I play by two rules. Number one, I always tell the people ahead of time that this is a collaboration. The only way that this is going to work is if you collaborate with me on how you're going to get the best results based on my knowledge of how to use LinkedIn and your knowledge of what you do best. I said, if we can collaborate in that way, you're going to see great results. And then my second rule is I follow something called the 51-49 rule. I have to want the results and the success 49% for you, but you have to want it 51% for yourself. If that number is skewed where I want it more than you want it for yourself, this is never going to work. So I always, when I'm about to work with someone, I always go over those two rules and let them know this is a collaboration and you have to want this way more than me, because if I want it more for you, then this is never going to work. So I always try to get ahead of it that way. And I've learned that over time, the more that I can get ahead of the expectations that I have for them and what I'm going to do for them, the better results they're going to get.
I'm so glad I asked that question, and I'm so glad that you answered it in that way, because I feel that from so many coaches myself, and I feel like it really holds them back because they're afraid that they won't be able to fulfill on their promises. And it's tough. I mean, it's tough for newer coaches who haven't had a lot of clients, obviously, and that's a lot to work through. For someone like ourselves, we've been in this industry for so long, we have so many success stories, and we know the game. We understand this that you shared. But I think for new coaches, yeah, that is a huge challenge. I'm so glad you shared that.
Yeah, but for the new coaches, all you have to do is get that first big win. That's it.
Yeah.
All you like, your number one focus as a new coach is to help that first client get their first big success, because that first success story, that will carry you for years.
Yeah.
Years. Because now you have someone that can give you a testimonial whenever they want. Like one of my largest client acquisitions, so a client that I had, he still refers, like the guy that closed the two $50,000 contracts
Mhm.
was referred to a client that I worked with 4 years ago. I helped him close a $350,000 contract. So he refers business to me all the time for years. And that was, I had a lot of success stories up until that point, but it was more lower ticket stuff, couple $1,000s here, there. But when someone broke into that multi six figure tier, oh my God, it was like, okay, then this is possible. So just focus on that first, right? Acquiring that first client, helping that first client get their first client, and so on and so on. And now you have that first testimonial, and that's just going to build from there.
Yeah, love it. Scott, thank you so much. This has been fantastic. You're a wealth of knowledge and wisdom. Really appreciate your experience. Great conversation. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your insights and experiences. We're going to leave, like I said, all the links are going to be in the show notes, in the description. So don't miss out on that. Go ahead and connect with Scott, please. And if you're a coach and consultant, trainer, or expert, and you're looking for clarity in your marketing, don't forget about that workshop, Digital Mentors Compass Workshop. You can register for free at compassworkshop.com. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your network. We're a young, growing podcast. We need your support and your help. So please share it with your network and audiences. Be sure to subscribe, like, comment, download, all those things. This has been a conversation between two coaches.